Today's history lesson is about Lucy Parsons, a fearless, radical activist who was such a threat to the establishment that after she passed away, the FBI raided her home. They confiscated 1,500 books and writings. Why, you might ask? Because Lucy Parsons was a force to be reckoned with. Lucy Parsons was born in 1851, likely into slavery in Texas. She defied every expectation. She was a woman of African, Mexican, and Native descent. She spent her whole life fighting for the working class. After marrying Albert Parsons, a white ex-Confederate turned radical, she moved to Chicago. That's where she became a leading voice in the labor movement. It was a pivotal moment in labor history. This rally began peacefully. The riot was a result of a bomb being thrown at the police. The protest was for an 8-hour workday. 7 police officers were killed and 4 civilians. Her husband was actually executed in the aftermath. This actually made her even more radical. She co-founded the Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW. She advocated for anarchism, free speech, and direct action. She was considered so dangerous that the police labeled her as more dangerous than 1,000 rioters. Famously said, concentrated power can always be wielded in the interests of the few and at the expense of the many. Well into her 80s, she was still a very vocal and prominent activist, still organizing, speaking out against the Great Depression for workers and the unemployed. And fun fact, at first she criticized the women's suffrage movement. She thought that voting alone wasn't going to help working class women. But over time, she worked alongside the suffragists. She saw that voting was an important tool for broader change. And when she passed away in 1942, because they raided her writings and books, a lot of her personal archive was forever lost. But let's make sure that her important role in American history is not erased. Her fight for workers' rights, racial justice, and free speech is still very relevant today. She reminds us that those in power fear radical change, and that history is often rewritten to erase people like Lucy Parsons out of it. So let's keep her story alive.